It's week 15 and day 3. Today we get back to some of the narrative readings as we look at First Samuel chapters 25 through 27, and then two Psalms 17 and 73. In the narratives that we read today, we're going to be introduced to Abigail and Nabal. David is still on the run. He has started to collect a company of men who, for different reasons, are no longer following Saul. Maybe they have found that they are no longer in Saul's good graces. But nonetheless, they do trust in David and follow him. But when you collect a company of people, when you collect an army, you also need supplies for that army. And that is also something that David is in short supply. Now, David and his company have also been doing a service for Israel in that they have been helping to fight off the Philistine attacks. So it's not like they're just marauding among the hills. They're actually performing a service. And in any other situation, Israel, the country, would be providing for them. But because David is at the head of this army, Saul is certainly not going to do that. As a result, David and his men have to look for provisions among the people who recognize the service that they have provided. Well, when they go to Nabal is basically, he's very wealthy. He has everything that he could need, but he refuses the request. His hard heart says, "Why should I give to you when I've had to work for all that I have?" I've heard that kind of sentiment before. Why should I help someone else out when I've had to earn, I've had to work for everything that I have? And yet we find that if we really look at it, God has actually been the gracious contributor to so many things in our lives. It doesn't negate that fact that we do have a part to play, but we could have done all the same things and found ourselves in much poorer circumstances. Regardless of that fact, we see in this story how a stiff-necked people and being uh, less than generous has a way of determining our fate when it comes to God's response. The Psalms that we'll read today also demonstrate a contrast between the good and the wicked. And yet we find that God's presence is the only important value when it comes right down to character.